Hello. So obviously this is not my usual setup and it's a little impromptu. It's a little late tonight and I am not at home, and I was just kind of thinking that I would film a little video for you on my take on depression. And now I want to preface this video by saying that I'm hoping that I'll get in as depth as I want to, because it's such a broad kind of thing for me. It also encompassed like so much of my life that I kind of feel like I want to do it justice, right? So today I want to talk about my experiences with depression, my experiences with therapy, and my personal opinions on medication and pharmaceuticals for depression. Now, I personally have never taken medication for depression. I understand that it does help some people, but I do resolutely think that talk therapy and spiritual growth, not spiritual like religion, but spiritual like personal healing, is the better option. Now, I get that can sound not great. I get that for some people in their journeys, it's hard to accept that or even agree, or even really find like basis in my reasoning. But I'm hoping that this can kind of give you a new perspective on depression and on taking medication in general, but specifically for mental health disorders. So specifically depression. I'm not speaking on anything else because I just don't have the background. So I want to talk about the SSRIs first, because for me that is kind of a big reason why I think that a lot of people have struggled with depression and for so long. I know that depression meds, like across the board, it's not that they don't do anything. In fact, for a lot of people it can help, because the severity of depression can be so like acute that it's just like you need like immediate relief, like right now, right? And so I understand, and I also understand that with depression meds, what's happening is not a solution. What's happening often seems much more like a band-aid, because if you come off it, or even if you're on it, your personality can change, your just like approach to life can change, and you're not happy, but you don't feel sad either. So you're just kind of feeling nothing. Which, to be honest, to me sounds a whole lot like normal, regular old depression. So I would say that I feel like I experienced depression from the ages of maybe 12 or 13 to 19. I was diagnosed with severe depression in my sophomore year of high school, so I was like 16. And then my diagnosis was reduced to dysthymia in 2020. So when I was a senior in high school, I was like 18. And I went through all of the kind of facets of depression. It started off as just kind of like, you know, I'm not happy. I don't really know why. This feels very normal, but it also doesn't feel right. And I was going through like feelings of self-hatred, of just like apathy, of feeling sort of discontented about myself and about the world and about my life. And I was able to flip that around like 100%. I do not feel that way anymore. And I really think that that's kind of the major reason why I started this channel, because the truth of the matter is that you can find solutions in your life, and you can find shifts and changes, and they will happen for you if that's something that you're interested in, and if that's something that you're not willing to just let like overcome your life. Because for me, in all of the like 7-ish, 8-ish years that I was experiencing this depression, I let it run my life. I let it be something that overcame who I was as a person. I was feeling deeply, deeply suicidal, and being plagued with ideation is just never, it doesn't feel good. Like, of course, like, you know this. It doesn't feel good, and you don't deserve to feel that way. In fact, you deserve to feel good in your body, and you deserve to feel happy. And I think the key here about the whole depression med thing is that it shouldn't be a band-aid for you. It shouldn't be something where you are like just getting by, because you deserve to thrive. You don't deserve to just survive, you deserve to thrive. So with that being said, my experience was pretty standard, I'd say. I don't think that you need somebody to describe to you how depression feels, because it feels like nothing. And it feels like very, very deep sadness. I think that what's more important maybe is to talk about how that changed for me, and how it changed over time. As I started going to talk therapy, this was in 2018, I had a really, really, really good therapist. And I think that that's definitely key here, but it's not something that you don't have to do. It's not something that you have to do. It's not something that helps every single person. And I know that quite a few people also feel that their self-awareness is like, makes them not interested in therapy. A little tidbit about that is that self-awareness has nothing to do with healing. You can be self-aware and be super, super depressed. You can be self-aware and be super, super unhappy. And you can pinpoint all of the reasons why you're super unhappy and all the reasons why, your life is the way that it is. In fact, I was exactly the same way. You know what I wasn't doing? I wasn't feeling the things that I was experiencing. I was just thinking about them. And that's called intellectualizing. That is essentially a symptom of an overactive mind, because you have a completely unrested nervous system where you're going through thing after thing after thing. And even if that thing after thing after thing is feeling nothing or feeling suicidal, those feelings are not feelings, those are thoughts. And when you really dig into the somatic experience of depression, the somatic experience of life, is when you kind of start to be able to like unlock these things that seem very stagnant. Because what you're doing is you're permitting the energy to flow in the direction of whatever it is that you want the direction to be, right? So for this depression example, it would be flowing towards feelings of contentment or feelings of, just peace. And all of that comes after this like very deep row that you have with all of the emotions, these pent up feelings that like come out of you when you start feeling your feelings. Or start talking about the things that have happened to you without saying, well, this is what happened to me, this is why it happened, this is, blah, 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 this is what I think is why I feel this way, instead of saying, I feel sad, I feel despair, I feel like there's no hope, I feel like, and really digging into feeling the feelings in your body. Somatic healing is, generally speaking, like one of the best things that I ever did for myself and my depression. To this day, I do my best to feel the emotions that come up, because to me, what I think depression is and like how it happens is because you have feelings. You're trained to not feel your feelings. You're trained to put aside your feelings, whatever it is. However, depression, like whatever the reason was the depression manifested for you, is the reason in which your body goes into freeze mode. It goes into shutting down, because what is easier and safer in that moment is to simply be like nothing. You know what I mean? And when you're nothing, when you're in your freeze response, is when it feels safer to scroll mindlessly or to binge TV and not do anything else, or not move your body, not get out of bed, not eat, not drink, like all of these things that are really, really integral aspects of being a person feeling somatically. Also, I just realized I didn't define somatically. So somatics is literally just like feeling. Somatic healing means like if I am healing by touching and by feeling the fact that I'm touching, right? Not an exact definition, but it'll get you where you need to be with that. So you are stuck in a freeze mode. Your body is stuck in a freeze mode. Your body is stuck because it feels that it is safer for you to be in that mode than it is to do anything else. And so I think that the key here is that understanding the difference between feeling numb and feeling is that the body has trained itself to stop feeling, and the body has decided and put you into the state of feeling nothing because it knows that it's not going to get the permission to feel that you have been pushing away for so long. For me, when I was severely depressed, I was experiencing moments where I would simply push down all my emotions, bottle them up, whatever. But then there would be these moments where I just couldn't take it anymore, and the emotions that did come out were extremely destructive, often like resulting in self-harm and really like pushing me closer and closer to this like identification with suicide that made me feel. And I think that that's the key here, that even those huge moments, even like the thoughts, those are cries for help from your body that are telling you that I need to feel something, I need to let this out, I need to process this in order to be healthier, or in order to restabilize. Because of course, after I, exerted all of that energy, shedding all of that emotion that I had bottled up, because girl, it doesn't go away, it just goes somewhere else. These are how physical manifestations of pain happen, is these like built up feelings that are not moving, it's stuck energy. And I'm gonna make a video about this, because I was like stoutly atheist before I started moving into healing, and I genuinely think that atheism is a result of stuckness and stagnancy. And it's not that you need to believe in God, like I'm not saying like Christian Jesus is the Jesus, or like Allah is the God or whatever, because that's not what I believe either. What I believe is a spirituality of, it's like purpose, and it's like life, like nature is spiritual for me. So and I think humans are innately spiritual beings. With that being said, it was a spiritual journey for me, because I was realizing that all of the things that these people have been talking about, somatic healing, energy, getting stuck, just feeling in general, these holistic approaches to human life, these are not things that our scientific and objective and truth-oriented society focuses on. What it focuses on is identifying and analyzing your experiences and then drawing conclusions from those analyses, even if they are not truly seeing the grasp of the full picture. Because if you view it from a purely mental perspective, you are completely disregarding the experiences of the body, when in fact you could say that the majority of depression exists in a state of limbo between the mind and the body, where the mind kind of goes off on like wherever it goes off to, but the body is stuck in this freeze mode, and that is essentially what depression is this freeze mode. So yeah, I believe that you deserve to live in a clean environment, and I believe that you deserve to get out of bed, to feel your feelings, to drink water, to take care of your body and take care of your soul and take care of yourself, because ultimately depression is not that. High functioning depression is not that, and it is training you to focus on what isn't there instead of what is. And for me, seeing all of that lack is kind of also what made me feel lack in myself, feel feelings of not being worthy, not being valuable, and sort of pushing away and rejecting the idea that it's possible that I could be more than just still all the time, more than just stuck all the time. And I want to clarify that there is a difference between stuckness and stillness. Stuckness is, I think, a symptom of this freeze mode, this fear, this anxiety, this like overwhelming need to protect oneself and feel safe in one's body and in one's environment. And it being a survival response, like fight or flight or freeze, like it's no wonder, of course, that you are kind of, and I think that this is true for some people too, like oscillating between the three of like, you know, having heightened senses of fighting against something or running away from something or feeling like you can't move, because what depression is doing to you is essentially telling you that what you're experiencing is so unsafe. Even if you're not in any true physical danger, it's so unsafe that you yourself need to now play this part that you would in survival situations, but, you know, aren't if you're just laying in bed. I hope I'm doing justice to this story, because it's kind of a doozy, you know? A lot of people experience depression. A lot of people experience depression in different ways. And I'm not saying it's like one size fits all, but it's definitely something that to consider, to feel your feelings, to experience the feelings of discomfort and really like truly awful, dark and deep places that you can go in depression, because you can and you have and you will. And so for me, the more that I ran away and the more that I froze up and the more that I couldn't face myself, the more that I felt deeply, deeply alone and deeply, deeply sad and deeply, deeply lost. And when I started to face myself and face the realities of the past, face the realities of the feelings that I was experiencing, validating them, really just seeing them, is when the clouds started to lift. And I understand that it's not an easy perspective to take, especially when you're in the thick of it. But it does get better, and things become brighter, and you become brighter, and you change. And I am quite literally a living testimony of that, because it doesn't have to be your full reality. It doesn't have to be your entire life. It doesn't have to be this thing that you just live with and you deal with because you're like, well, you know, this is how it is, I guess. Because sincerely, like working on your self-worth, working on the past and recognizing patterns and how they came up for you and who you've been trained to be and who you've been raised to be, those things start to change when you start to face them. And they no longer feel like truly such daunting things, because you are 100% stronger than the things that you are experiencing right now, like full stop. I know that not everybody experiences the suicidal / self-harm ideation like aspect of depression, but I do want to give a little bit of my experiences with that, because I realized during my therapy that when I would self-harm, it would be because I was experiencing such vivid, loud, awful, hard to control, hard to exist, hard to feel emotions, that it was easier and more logical to me to exert those emotions into something physical that I could control, instead of feeling the emotions that I couldn't control. And I think this is a really big part of depression, that there is a big fear entering into the realm of emotion, entering into the realm of feeling when you haven't for so long. But it is truly the way out, because you have to be able to hold space for experiencing emotion on a daily basis without it being something that overtakes your day or overtakes your life, you know. And I think that depression is no different, that you have to be able to hold space for the stuckness that you're feeling in order to move out of it, in order to face it, in order to like overcome it. So I definitely recommend simply sitting in this, like observing depression as it is, as it shows up for you. It sounds silly, it sounds like it wouldn't help. Honestly, like depressed people are some of the most like hard to get to, I think, sometimes, because you have these moments where, you know, you see the light peeking through, right? But depression, there was this thing that I saw when I was kind of like right out of coming out of this, and I was like, wow, this is so like potent and well said, that depression is oh God, I'm gonna butcher this, but it's basically that it's the worst when you are on your way out and that's why it feels like it's never gonna change, because you feel like you're in this like plateau where you're experiencing life fine, and then all of a sudden everything changes and dips and it's awful, and then you're in this like horrible space, and maybe you even do another dip, but then right after that it's like you're going straight up and you're like, wait, like, you know, all of this stuff that I didn't know before, now I know. I might have to do this again. We'll see. Maybe I'll do 2. You get a rough version and a polished version. But essentially, you feel your feelings. You choose yourself. You choose to change. You choose to accept what the past has been and move through it, because you can't do it any other way. You can't expect yourself to keep doing the same things, keep running the same scenarios over and over in your head, to keep running the same thoughts, to always be analytical instead of feeling, and expect change, because that's not how it works. And truly, for those of us who have experienced deep and dark and horrible and scary places, it's those of us that do and move out that are able to give the stories to those of you who are not experienced or are in the thick of it. And it is only my hope that you are able to see some kind of like resonance, because I know that for a fact you will like resist this so hard. And that's kind of like the conundrum, is like, how do we reach people in these really deep and dark spaces when they themselves are so overcome with the darkness that they cannot even see the possibility of there being light. They can't even see the hand sometimes, right? So sometimes for some of us it is like going back into the cave, and retrieving those who have been lost. But at the same time, you can't go back into the cave unless you know how to get out, because you can get lost too, and I've gotten lost too. And I just want you to know that you're not alone, and you're not bad, and you're not wrong, and you're not like ugly or behind, or like, you know, for being where you are, because you are where you are, and there's nothing that you can do about that except for accept the fact that that's where you are at, and accept the fact that you want to change, or that it's possible for you to change, because I guarantee you it does get better. I will say that I understand the nihilism behind it, because it's not really. One, depression convinces you. One moment. Okay. One, depression convinces you that you don't have it. It will do everything in its power to tell you that you are completely fine, that life is supposed to look like this. And even acknowledging that this is something that you're struggling with is like a major step forward. So kudos to you. 2, you may not see it now, but the people who are telling you the positive messages are correct. You have an inherently warped perception of reality. That's like all there is to it. It's not that it's invalid, but it is warped, because you are looking through it through the lens of nihilism, and nihilism is not right. You know what I mean? Like, even objective reality is not right, like completely 100% capital T truth correct, because it's true that we have subjective experiences that are just as valid and just as true as the objective reality. Same thing is to be said about feelings versus thoughts. You have feelings. You are not like a robot. You have feelings. You have the need to be validated in your experience. And for me, that was a huge reason why I was depressed in the first place, is because I felt invalid. I felt like I wasn't worth anything. I felt like the experiences that I was having were, you know, secondary to the horrible experiences of others. But I've said this once and I'll say it again. A person that drowns in 3 feet of water is just as dead as somebody who drowns in the ocean, okay? So you need help, and you deserve help, and you deserve good help too. You deserve a good therapist. You deserve good friends. You deserve to treat yourself kindly. You deserve to feel your feelings. And you deserve to not be depressed. So, there. Yeah. Super not polished. Hope that you got something from this. Hope that you listen. If not to the advice, to the validation, you know. I see change in your future. Someone saw change in mine, and then I did change. So I owe it to Miss Kelly. I hope she's out there, and I hope she's happy, and I hope that she knows that she saved my life. So you can save yours too. I hope you have a good night. Feel your feelings. It's gonna be okay, and it gets better. Later.